But we are here this morning on behalf of a group of parents that assemble more and more called Purpose Over Pain. These are parents who lost loved ones because of gun violence. And when you look in front of me, in front of you, and you see this type of weapons that the Chicago police seizes day in and day out on a daily basis, then of course we're all worried about the safety of our children and all of our loved ones. And that's why the press conference is here. This is not about Democrats or Republicans. This is not about liberals, conservatives. This is about common sense gun laws that we should be protected from all these guns in the hands of many, many people, not only here in Chicago and Illinois, in the country. So it is incumbent upon all of us to come to some conclusion why you need more and more guns in our society. It is simple as that. And so I'm here to speak on behalf of families who've lost loved ones. You'll see their pictures of their sons and daughters, or their brothers or sisters, even their mothers and fathers, or just somebody in the community that was killed by a gun. And so it's incumbent upon government to serve and protect, as the Chicago Police motto is, and also protect police officers and first responders in their line of duty. And so I want to thank many the aldermen that are here. You heard who are here. I want to thank many of the state officials that are here, fellow mayors from the metropolitan area, religious leaders, and of course victims over Purpose Over Pain, family members who lost loved ones, as well as other organizations that really talk about violence against society, violence against children, and what we can do with federal, state, and even local legislation. So as we all aware, last year, the numbers dealing with the number of murders fell by 10.5%. The number of homicides involving young people went down 24%. But that alone doesn't help anyone who lost a child. It doesn't. And when you lose a child, statistics and numbers don't matter. I've lost a child. I lost a loved one. So we have to remind ourselves, one murder is one too many. It's simple as that. So you can't just be happy with the statistics going down. We are, but you have to realize that one murder is one too many, and that's what we as a society has to come with. I want to thank the Chicago Police Department for doing a tremendous job in regards to seizing and destroying more guns than all the many cities combined here in the nation. And they need the help of the community continually. The eyes and ears of the community are people who live in the community, and they're the ones who have to relate to themselves about protecting their own children. It's also good to report that the number of homicides so far this year is down 17% compared to the same period last year. Still, all this good news is little consolation to the families who lost their loved ones last year or years before. Thousands of Chicagoans stand against the violence will not rest until it has stopped. As I point out, one person lost, one child lost, should trouble all of us. It should hurt our heart, and always remember them in all of our prayers. And that's why I've asked Chicagoans to redouble their efforts, renew their commitment, not just to lower the violence, but actually to stop it. One of the greatest tests we face is how we step up on ongoing efforts against gangs, guns, and drugs that are behind most of the violence in our city. And every drug dealer and gangbanger needs a gun, and that's their power, is the gun. In fact, we know that the most violent crime in Chicago, including against our young people, involves illegal guns. It's the same story nationally, where the vast majority of violent crime involves illegal guns. And just last week, when you saw two Pentagon security guards, person walks through, has a gun, turns around, shoots them, and they shot back. So it doesn't matter where you are, where you're going. Gun violence should not be part of American way of life. Out of the total number of murders in Chicago in 2009, 82% were committed with a gun. 60% were gang-related. That's why I've argued for years, if we're going to make greater progress, make our city safer, we need common sense gun laws that protect the rights of law-abiding citizens to purchase guns, but also help us end the flood of illegal weapons that kill our children. On a daily basis, straw purchasers move all across this country, buy the guns, come back and sell them to drug dealers and gangbangers. Again, we've asked the federal government always to work with us, and they are, Attorney General Holder said that, he's agreed to work closer with not only us, with suburban police departments, state police, not only here in Chicago, but all over the country, because the legal flow of guns by straw purchase, it's a huge business. Our people want, I think, common sense gun laws. Chicago is an active member of the national coalition called Mayors Against Illegal Guns. Recently, they commissioned a poll that showed that there is a lot of common ground between National Rifle Association members and non-members on some gun laws. By the way, the NRA is spending a lot of time these days pressuring mayors to resign for the Mayors Against Illegal Guns organization. We're talking about illegal guns, illegal guns. The polls show that 69% of NRA members, 85% of non-RA gun owners support background checks for all gun sales at gun shows. And this is common sense. You can't buy a car, you can't do anything whereby government has to look at you. It's simple as that. It showed that 82% of NRA members and 86% non-RA members support prohibiting suspected terrorists from purchasing guns. Another clear sign is that people support common sense gun laws is the success that we had in last year's session in Springfield. The General Assembly passed 3 proposals we introduced or supported. One makes unlawful use of a weapon by a gang member a Class 2 felony, punishable by a minimum sentence of 3 years, a maximum sentence of 10 years. Another increases penalties for shooting students on or near school grounds, on or near public transit. And third, creates an interstate gun trafficking task force within the Illinois State Police. So we have some momentum heading into the next decade. However, as I stand here today, pro-gun groups are working more aggressively than ever to undo common sense gun laws in cities and states across the nation. And this is very, very critical because it's not just the right to bear arms, it has other effect upon constitutional issues dealing with any type of gun laws in America. For example, just recently, the National Rifle Association persuaded the Virginia House of Delegates to eliminate the law that limits handgun purchases to 1 gun a month and several other gun laws. And in Springfield, the NRA is once again trying to pass legislation allowing concealed weapons. Now, allowing concealed weapons, what does it have to happen? What happened to every church, mosque, temple, and synagogue? What happens to every retail store? What happens to you as an employer with your employees bringing guns? It is very, very complicated. Concealed weapons laws has huge effect upon businesses and cost here in this day and age. Since the U.S. Supreme Court's 2008 decision to overturn Washington, D.C. municipal handgun ban ordinance, gun proponents have filed more than a dozen major lawsuits across the United States challenging common sense gun laws. As you know, one of those cases was filed against the city of Chicago challenging our handgun law. We remain hopeful that when the court reaches its final decision in June, it will agree with us and with many others who share our belief in the right of municipalities and states to enact strict but balanced gun laws to keep their citizens safe. The aggressiveness of the gun advocates is just one reason why it's more important than ever that we work for common sense gun laws that focus on stopping the flow of illegal guns into our communities and keeping guns out of the hands of criminals. That's why we're joined today by legislators, faith-based groups, community, other leaders, family members whose lives have been challenged by gun violence. We're announcing that gun legislation that we're pursuing in the 2010 legislative session in Springfield and in Washington, D.C. And in Springfield, our legislative package includes some provisions we have made in previous sessions to require background checks for the sale of private guns so that known criminals cannot purchase guns as easily as they can now. This bill was just 5 votes short of passing the Illinois House last year. To ban assault weapons, which serve no purpose for civilians other than to kill people. Chicago Police Department recovered a record number of assault weapons in 2009. To require gun dealers to be licensed by the state, similar to what is already required for most other occupations, the impact of public safety, welfare, and health, and to limit the number of handgun purchases to 1 per month. We have proposed new state legislation to make it a mandatory Class 1 felony for knowingly selling and transferring a gun to a known gang member. Strengthen the penalties for unlawful use of a weapon so that people caught with carrying loaded weapons will not be let off scot-free, as many of them are happening today. And require semi-automatic pistols manufactured or delivered for sale in Illinois to be capable of microstamping, a next generation of technology that helps law enforcement link spent ammunition with the gun from which it came. This reduced the cost of government tremendously. At the state level, we're also intended to form a new organization in Illinois, with Illinois mayors, religious, business, and community leaders to collaborate on all the gun issues. In Washington, D.C., we will call on Congress to reinstate the federal assault weapons ban, which Congress allowed to expire in 2005. That is very, very important. No one should be able to use weapons in the military in Iraq and Afghanistan against terrorists to be able to be used here in America. As simple as that. These guns are made for war. These guns are not made for hunting purposes, and especially the destruction they do here in America. And also dealing with first responders, police and fire, all the first responders, we should not put their life in jeopardy. Also, we're going to close a gun show loophole by enacting a federal ban on the ability of criminals to purchase guns at gun shows. And everybody's worried about terrorists. We have Homeland Security running around, looking at people coming into this country or looking at people here in this country. Why can't they focus on this issue? How can someone who can come to this country and go to gun shows and buy as many guns as they can? It's amazing. I mean, only in America, but that should not be the motto, only in America, that you can come here, buy as many guns without anybody checking. Repeal the federal immunity law that gun manufacturers enjoy so to be held accountable for wrongdoing just like any other industry. Every other industry is sued for any purpose. If you fell off that chair today, you would look at the manufacturer, the distributor, and also the city of Chicago dealing with that chair. And why is it that we cannot sue gun manufacturers here in America? Repeal the T. Hart Amendment that restricts local law enforcement. Now, this is unbelievable. Restricts local law enforcement from tracing illegal gun ownership and throughout the anti-gun trafficking efforts. It's amazing. And we're after terrorists, see? But we cannot do anything we found a terrorist. We could restrict local law enforcement from tracing illegal gun ownership. So if we arrest them, we could not do this. Now think about that, what effect it has upon law enforcement. And this is the idea of working together with local, state, and federal law enforcement. I know that many people may not appreciate these proposals, especially the gangbangers and the drug dealers and the thugs, who basically terrorize our communities and hide with a lot of organizations, and they're being fully protected. They don't have to spend any money whatsoever. People want to protect them. But by taking together, I believe these initiatives will reduce gun violence, not only in Chicago, in the metropolitan area in Illinois, but also in the country. I think this is one issue that's not going to go away. And I think people wish maybe it would go away, but it will not go away, because every day another child is killed, another loved one is killed, and their memories will stay with them forever. And that's why it's important that purpose over pain, that you put a face to everyone that is killed by a gun, not only in Chicago, but in Illinois and America. Thank you very much.